Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Joey Sparks. That's two E's, no Y. You heard me, two E's, no Y. And in this video, we are going to be interviewing Samuel Perry-Falvey. You know, the director we all know and love, right? I'm so stoked for you guys to get to see this interview between two film buddies across the pond. It's really a blessing. So if you're ready to see this interview between me and Samuel Perry-Falvey, then let me know. But first, you know I gotta play my intro. Coffee sip, yeah. You're bang. All right, y'all. Now look. Before we cut to this interview, I just want to thank you guys. You guys saw something in me that felt like I needed to be the one to dig a little deeper of the mind of this man who has created some of these images that we have all like fawned over. Right? You guys bringing up enough of you guys bringing this up connected the dots for me, and I couldn't have done it without y'all, so I have to thank y'all. I really appreciate it. Also, I say this in the video, but I need to say it again. Thank you, Sam. Sam, I appreciate you giving me the time. So I appreciate you offering me an opportunity to get to know you ahead of some of the pack, right? You guys, he explained so much, and then eventually, like, we got to break down like key points in some of our favorite music videos between him and Ren, and like, I just had a list and I went down and he graciously answered them all, guys. Like, so I gotta thank Sam as well. Okay, so before we get started, let me go ahead and get some of this stuff out of the way. Please like and comment on the content as soon as it comes out. It helps YouTube place the video higher in the algorithm for longer. Okay, higher for longer. I appreciate you for that. Also, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. I'm a music videographer by trade. So my channel is based around music videography, music and videos, right? I do reactions, reviews, unboxings, and beginning today, I also do interviews. So crazy, man. Okay. Also, this is going to be set up as a premiere. So if you leave a super thanks or a super chat, I want to say thank you now ahead of time. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be live in the chat with you, but I want to say thank you ahead of time. All that support helps get me closer to these bigger goals that we're doing, and I really thank you for it, okay? And without further ado, let's start the interview. Folks, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate it. My guest today is a special one. He's a filmmaker, a director, a cinematographer. You know him from some of his music videos for working with music artists like Chinchilla, Knox, Sam Tompkins, and of course, our beloved Ren. But he's also accomplished short filmmaker. He's a cinematographer, I'm telling y'all. He's got credits in 2019 short film Rave, a short film about angst, and let me tell you, it's one of my favorites. Also, in the 2019 short film What Betty Sees was officially selected for many film festivals throughout 2019 and 2021. Also, a standout for me, my personal fave, 2021 short film Step Back, which was also officially selected in 2021 for multiple film festivals, including the Windrush Caribbean Film Festival. My guest today, none other than Samuel Perry-Falvey, but we all know him as Sam. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe. It's good to be here.
Man, I'm glad to have you. Full disclosure for anyone watching, I biffed. I forgot to hit record for a few minutes, okay? So I'm going to re-ask him a few of these questions, and we're not going to spend long. Trust me, I've got enough to fill, but bear with me. We're not going to get to music video questions and Ren stuff because I want to get to know him first. I've got tons of questions on music videos and his relationship with Ren, but first things first, allow me to get a chance to know Sam, okay? Sam, welcome. I appreciate you. I want to say thank you for giving me your time. As somebody who holds time very, very, very valuable, I appreciate you.
It's my absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed watching your videos over the last couple of months, and it's good to be a part of it.
Man, I appreciate that. Yeah, kind of my introduction to you was through my reaction introduction to Ren. I wasn't even, and Ren is like my introduction to this whole reaction space as well. And I'm going to get more into that when we discuss
Mm.
specifically his later. But ever since then, it seems like the community thought me and you should be talking. Well, I did too. I felt like I would love to pick your brain. Um, but I went and looked. There wasn't very many, if any, interviews with you yet, but they're soon to come. Okay.
Yeah.
Really quick, I just wanted to kind of ask where you reside, and then like how you eventually got where you grew up at, and then where you reside now, and the whole loop on how you eventually got there.
Yeah, so I'm in Bristol in the UK,
Uh-huh.
and I was born here, grew up here, spent a couple years traveling with my family. We took 2 years out of school and stuff and traveled around Europe and went to like Morocco and Turkey as well. And then came back to Bristol, spent the rest of my school days here, and then went to university over in London for a couple of years. And then came back to Bristol because it couldn't keep me away. And now
Well,
that's
there's
where I am.
something about where you're from that just always rings true, and it seems
Yeah.
um wholesome. I regretfully came from a super, super small town, actually raised in a small town in Iowa. And there was not, I was in the middle of the US, like what they call podunk, like very low population. And I had to get away. So that's how I eventually got in here into the hills of Colorado, and I met Black Pegasus. And well, you guys on the channel kind of know everything from there. You guys on the channel, like I said, my Biff, I kind of asked him a few questions, but I wanted to kind of let you guys know that what I find out while he was traveling for a couple years, he was traveling with his father, who also happens to be in like one aspect of film production. It's actually animation. What were some of the projects that he worked on? Did you say
So
Chicken?
yeah, so he's a stop motion production designer at Aardman. So he works on stuff like Chicken. He worked on the first Chicken Run. He's just worked on Chicken Run 2, Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were Rabbit, Shaun the Sheep the movie, Early Man, Pirates and Adventurous Scientists. He's got quite a few
I, I
films.
I couldn't believe it, and I was also telling Sam, who I happen to be Sam's elder here, about how much I appreciated his father kind of just showing that example of what, like what you can do, and as far as like chasing something that you're passionate to build your life around, right? Sam also let me in on the fact that he has a brother and a sister, and they're both also in creative outlets as well. His brother also kind of in the stop motion, along with his father. And then he was just getting to tell me about his sister dancing. Um, oh, I also, did you know that Sam takes photos first before he got introduced to cameras? Man, anyways, we are getting ready. This is pretty much where we left off, right? Would you say?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think everybody's up to speed, and me and you are here, and I just want to
Yeah.
stay fresh because I was saying, in order to shoot music videos, you have to have a love for music. And let me tell y'all, his first bashful, shy smile, I wish I had it on camera, y'all. It just showed me that without a doubt, this man loves music. And he was getting ready to go into answering, like, kind of when he fell in love with music. So be my guest.
Yeah, so music's always been a quite a big part of my life. Growing up, I was always surrounded by it. Uh, as a kid, started learning quite a few different music instruments. I played the guitar for like 7 years. I got really into like my DJing and music production, just as a little side fun thing, and used to run events around Bristol, like nightclub nights. And we used to just have a lot of fun with those. So I've had music's been like key to everything. I'm one of those people who I don't really like have so much silence in my life. I got to fill it with music. I got to have that, you know. It's got to kind of see me through. Like if I'm working, I'll be 10 times more productive with music in my head if I'm not on set, you know. On set it's a different thing, but like when I'm at the office or I'm doing editing or anything, like music is such a key part of all of it. But yeah, it's been around forever in me in my life, really. Like I can't remember it not being an important large factor in it. So it's one of those things that it's just kind of you don't get me without music, you know. Um,
Amen. I I fell out of love with music very, very, very angrily, partially because of my own self, keeping myself in this box of hip hop as a culture as well as a music genre. For me, being a Black American, I was like, I didn't know what to like cling to. And then when this art form happened, because I'm old as shit, so I was around when when it started. Um, I was just like, wow, this defines me and this is who I am. And to listen to something outside of it would almost be cheating on who I am. For
mm,
so many years, um, even with my dabbling outside of it younger, just coming back to it as an old man and then getting sick of like what it's turned into. And then hearing this reaction game from like tons of different artists that I've never heard before with different varying musical talent levels and genres. And that's why I really think, I mean, you got to admit, you know, Ren's very, very talented as far as his musical
yeah,
dynamics, like across the board. What a treat for you to be able to work with. I want to steer this back into a question for you though.
yeah,
So with the love of, also something you guys might not have caught from the part I didn't catch was, um, Sam went to school in London for a few years for filmmaking. So he
yeah,
started picking up, he picked up a small Canon camera, single shot Canon camera, and started taking pictures first. But then one of his friends kind of talked him into videography side a little bit, and he was well
yeah.
decided.
So yeah, let me give it a little whirl. Yeah, so taking photos from like the age of like 7, 8 was when I started picking up a camera for the first time. So it was like it was through my entire kind of like growing up, camera's been like side by side with me. Maybe not necessarily in the most technical way, but my enjoyment of like frames and capturing frames and finding images that I found kind of satisfying have always been around. And then yeah, so then I was doing that through doing like art, studying art at school and stuff like that, and then was like, right, I wanted to be a marine biologist. Had to give that, I gave it up because I wasn't very good at sciences. And then yeah, asked my best mate at the time, like he was studying the film course, like, is it any good? And he said it was great and he really enjoyed it. And I was like, yeah, great. I'm gonna give it a go. And I haven't looked back since. And that's been my life really. It's like that's when I dived into the video world from there. Um, yeah.
When did you finish school in London?
In London, I finished school coming on over 5 years ago now.
So about five removed from learning and then just making films on your
Yeah,
own.
yeah. I did some. I had a year or two out between school and like college, university, where I was just freelancing and doing like corporate gigs.
Right.
Started a little production company with a couple of friends. We were just making short films, and basically just practicing full time.
Right.
Um, which was like amazing. It was just like we really got to like throw ourselves in the deep end really and just kind of get stuck in, which is where a lot of my learning kind of happened. And I feel like I got the most out of going and studying film because I had that as a backbone before I even studied that. But then university was just a really good platform to meet people and just make. Like I spent half of the time not even going to uni because I was off making films with people. You know, it's like one of those ones where it's like the school's only going to do so much for you. It's you got to be out there and making to really actually get the most of it. And
Yeah, got to get
yeah,
behind the camera and see
yeah,
see what there's so many facets. You don't know what exactly you love about it until you
mm,
start doing all of the facets, and then you
yeah.
start seeing where you fall in. That's that maturity. Eventually I was going to get to asking, but yeah, that maturity and what we do as far as imaging, it just comes with, like, it's kind of, sometimes you got to get that real world hands on, try different cameras, try different artists and what have you. I think that's so dope. And so having that knowledge for so long, that you love music, and then you've been shooting frames at least since 8 in photography, then transferred over into videography. um when did you try to marry the two, music and like music videos?
Well, so I've always loved music videos. I think they're wicked. Like how can you
Facts.
not like a music video? Like I remember really strongly like being like 15, 16, seeing a couple of videos that just like were wicked, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like I've just started doing film. Why don't I do a video of this? Because it was like it was before I even started doing film studies or anything that I filmed. The first thing I ever did with Ren, which is on my YouTube channel, is just of like Ren playing in a tent, and it's like it's nothing special. It's just a single frame of Ren playing in a tent, and it's probably the oldest thing of Ren on the internet. And I didn't know what I was doing or anything, but then I was like, oh, this is a great little thing. It needs to go out into the world. People need to see this kind of thing. So then it was just like from there, I ended up making a music video for my friend. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is fun because you've got the music already there. That's one of the things with film is like, I didn't know many people who were that great at audio. So it was like with short films and stuff, it's generally the thing that really kind of let them down. So it's like when you've got people who are making music and that's their speciality and it's really well produced, well, now all I need to do is make really pretty pictures that really link up and connect with it and really help enlarge that experience. So it's kind of like at that point, I was like very much like, yeah, that's it for me. Like I've got to get involved in this. And
it,
then
it
that's now
takes
become my speciality, you know, it's like that's what I've done most of, and that's where I've probably like excelled and has been the backbone of my career since. So it's yeah, it's been a proper kind of
I'm mystified at how you just literally spoke my truth as far as the audio is concerned. It's
yeah,
like there's so many variables to learn audio when you're trying to learn filmmaking, that, and then they'll tell you it's the number one thing that will tank your project is bad audio. And to me, I same thing, like, music video is already laid, like the sound is laid. I have to just put the images and tell a story, and a nonverbal story. Sometimes I don't get to create dialogue to keep the viewer following along. I have to do it with images. Okay, how do I show you forgot your keys? Like, you start patting all over yourself and stuff and looking left and right, and people figure it out without you saying anything.
yeah.
So, yo, that when was you said you started shooting your first music video out of school or
Well,
during?
yeah, I've not done any of the music videos while I've been at school. It's
Okay.
kind of like the music videos have always been like a self-exploratory thing, and I've always because Bristol's such a creative place. There's always been so many musicians around, and it's always like the communities and circles I've been in. Music's probably been way more prominent than most things, really, to be honest. So it's kind of like it made sense that it's like happened, but it's definitely been an independent journey and definitely not something that school or anything else has kind of like linked up with. Um, but yeah, so it's just one of those ones where it's
What?
taking
Okay.
its own course.
When you go about music videos, like, how, how's your process? Do you start with your own? Do you inquire, like, someone who's never done what we've done? Kind of
So yeah, so it really varies depending on the artist and the project. Like I have like a couple of books worth of ideas that I've just written down from like being lying in bed at night and being like, oh, what about this? This is a great thing. I've got to write it down, you know? But often you've got to really go with what comes with the music and what comes from the music and really syncs up with the music. And it's also kind of what the artist wants. because really it's their project, and you're there to facilitate them and make a product. It's really is making a product that they're happy with, that they're putting out, um, and that the audience can really enjoy. So my first thing is, like, if an artist comes to me, I'll be like, okay, what are you looking for? Like, are you wanting a narrative video? Are you wanting a performance video? Are you wanting a live session? And then from that, we can then write, okay, they want a live session. Do you want it to be an active live session, or do you want it to be in a studio? Do you want it to be like very performance led, or do you want it to be very kind of narrative and experience led, or a part of a
Right.
like theatrical, or do you want it to go, so it's like, depending on the route they want to go, then it lets me know what questions I need to ask in terms of which way to direct the video and which way we're going to go from there, really. So it's kind of, that's really the journey we kind of go on, is I will ask a ton of questions of them to know what they want. And if they don't know what it is, then I'll just listen to the song and then just see what comes to me, really. I'll just write down ideas. You'll probably end up going through like 4 or 5 different ideas before there's one that you're like, oh yeah, that one, I think that's wicked. I'm gonna go explore that. That's lush, and it's like,
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
there, really.
I was just curious, and what's crazy is like here folks on the channel once again, look at all that amount of stuff that he had to take into consideration when doing a music video. I've done so many of them, once again, jaded, and how often I get in my inbox is just like their first question is, when are you free to shoot? And I'm like, there are a million other questions before when I'm free. Actually, some of the answers to those questions will dictate when we should be free. Oh, you're not looking for me. That's usually what happens, as I tell them.
Yeah, yeah,
Then yeah, I'm probably not your guy. This process is gonna
yeah.
annoy you. I wanted to know about like, by chance, did you ever have, and we don't have to say no names, like a music video horror story, or like something that just either didn't go well as planned, maybe on your end or their end, or an unexpected something happened that made it just one of the worst experiences?
Too many. Is that an accurate answer? Like, I just that's way too many.
90%.
I couldn't even call one person out because it wouldn't be fair unless I called them all out. It's like,
Facts.
but it's, yeah. There's so many. There's one, people who still haven't paid me like 6 years later, who I've just been like, okay, fine, stuff it. It's
Yeah,
like,
I have the footage
oh,
now.
yeah, it's like, okay, whatever. There's ones where like I've had assistants record in between when you're supposed to be recording instead of when you're recording. So they've pressed record when we've said,
Oh,
and then start. Yeah. So it's just like, but a lot of these were in a lot early days, and like,
right.
nothing that terrible has happened in the last like 7 years. So it's like, I'm touch wood,
Yeah,
like.
I'm thinking the same thing. Let me get to knocking on some wood here, bro.
There's like,
Pause.
I mean, hard drives failing and things like that, but like the
Oh,
backup. If you don't have
yeah. It's like,
a
oh,
backup, it's now on you. You know what I mean? It's like, I will always say people need to get a hard drive and a backup if they want to do a video. Otherwise, there's no real point in them putting the money into it. You know what I mean?
there's
It's
no
like,
guarantee. System failures are a thing. They should be, hey, y'all, if y'all imaging and learning on this channel, it should be in your contract somewhere. Hey, what the worst case scenario stipulations will be if there's system failure, because it might happen. Anyways, I just think, I think the process of making a music video goes over people's heads a lot. And so I
yeah.
think somebody who has created things that millions of people have watched. I mean, literally millions of people have seen your work. How he experiences some of the same things all of us go
Oh, in those projects as well, like I can touch
through.
those, but like for Money Game Part One, like we turned up to location once and there was building work going on, so it's like we can't even shoot. We all turned up. People come from around the country down to Brighton to come do this shoot, and then it's like, cool. There's building works going on all night. We can't shoot.
Because the audio
Uh,
would
uh,
have been messed up.
yeah, because it was a live session, so it's like
Yeah.
it's been recorded there and then. So it's like, okay, cool. We'll come. When are we next free? Like we'll come back and do this again. Let's just put the grind on. Let's just make it happen. And it's like there's things like that that are just so out of everyone's control, and it's like you've got to just like work with them, you know.
Roll with the punches. I really
Really, yeah.
appreciate your passion to want to go that extra yard and get it done. I will attribute probably some of it. You don't have children, right?
No,
You're
I'm
right.
not
So
like
it's like, whereas me, I am balancing, and I didn't get into to imaging until I was well with married with kids, and then I was just like, I just can't stand doing the same for the rest of my life. I got to try something else, but it weighs on me sometimes, and I want to say I'm really inspired by some of the lengths you're willing to go to. When I heard on Black Pegasus, you guys did
83,
183 for one
183.
that now we're finding out had to be rescheduled.
So it was done maybe over 6 evenings or something. So it's like we went and did it one evening. We did like a load of takes, and we were like, no, it's not good enough. We need to go away, back at the drawing board. And then we did it again, and then we were like, no, it's not good enough. We added the song, started off being like a 4 minute long song. No, the final thing's like 6.5 or something minutes. And it's
Right.
like every time we made it more difficult, then we ended up getting Bo, who's I have to shout out Bo every single time I talk about any of our videos, like Money Game, part 1 and part 3. He's the Steadicam up for, and he's just incredible. And so we brought him on, and he came down and really elevated it again. And then there was that building incident for that one night we couldn't do it, and then we came back and then we managed to get it. And it's just like so many things changed
I
each
was gonna
time.
say,
Like
it
the
sounded like the
first video
first
to
two
last
nights
are
were.
different videos.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first and last video are like days we shot were completely different videos. You know, like what we achieved by the end was so much more than we were hoping for at the first night. You know, like it's still one of my favorite things we've ever done, and it's like the fact that it's all recorded live, remains there playing the guitar with a hat, the thing over his head, and it's just like so challenging every little aspect. And the fact that he's covered himself in oil at the end means you can't shoot again if you do that. You know what I mean? You've got to call it.
Man,
You can't come back another time. It's like you get one shot at that. You know, so it's like yeah, it was so mad that we managed to achieve what we did with that. Um, I still can't believe it, and I still don't believe like people even really recognize the fact that that's a live session, or the fact of what we kind of managed to get with that. It's just that it's nuts. Um,
I think that effort you put into it is going to be timeless. And like I said, it really resonates back to that care of wanting to get it right. And like I said, the first two nights, it sounded like it was all blocking. Like we were literally just testing out.
we did days of blocking. We did days of blocking separate to those nights. You know, we went in the
Dang.
car park, like walking it through, like you know,
Ah.
we did so much planning for that video.
And yeah, I also want to highlight once again, I was going to do this later when I went over this, but yeah, shout out to Romaine, because wearing that, you would have drove me crazy. I would have just went crazy in that mask. Like I would have taken it off 3 or 4 times and said, if you don't get this shit right once or twice.
Yeah, it was freezing cold as well, and he's like, it was like needing to warm his hands up between takes. It was just like he
His
was like
fingers.
couldn't play properly because it was just freezing his fingers off, you know. And it's just like, yeah, he absolutely smashed that. Absolutely incredible. Such a hard-working, persevering, incredible human being.
Wow.
Deserves everything that comes his way, really,
That's
in the positive light.
it's like it is commendable to say uh but like I think people really gotta like listen when someone gives someone like that, like, wanting to be hardworking or get whatever goal done through any means necessary, including the speed bumps and hardships. That is a trait that I feel like in generations is being more and more lost. And so it's so inspiring to hear y'all. And I'd actually lead that into, like, I see that with Ren and your projects. The scope of them seems so grandeur that most people would have gotten an argument or fight or given up on projects to achieve what you guys got done. can you briefly talk about how you met Ren, like how you came to link up?
So I met him when I was like 15, 16. Around that time. We were camping at this kind of camp that we both used to go to when we were growing up. And I remember it really clearly. Um, we were around a campfire, and he was playing some songs. And I remember him playing Freckled Angels, and that
Oh,
like I was like a 15, 16 year old closed off, unemotional male who
right.
just switched himself off. He played that song, I was weeping, you know, I was just there like I hadn't cried like that in years, you know, and it just like reopened up like everything I knew about
Life.
my life and was just like I was just like, oh crap, wow. Yeah, blimey. He's amazing. Um and then I got to know him, so then there was that downfall. Yeah,
Hey,
no,
that's on you, buddy. You you
no, no.
created that bond.
And then we became good friends after like over the like next couple of years, and then didn't make a music video with him for until like a couple of years later, till when I moved to London. Back in that's when I was like back like 8 years ago, 8, 9 years ago now, where we made Children of the Moon was the first video we ever shot. It was in my first house away from home. One of the first videos I'd shot there, and yeah, we just shot it all sorts of places and just made that like B movie style horror piece, and it's still such a wicked video that we made so much
I
happen with
have to
so
hold
little.
back my comments until I get to the individual music video portion, but yes, I
Yeah,
agree. Very still wicked. Um,
but yeah,
okay,
so we met
so
then.
that's when
Yeah,
that's when you guys first put the music and videography together. And then was there yeah, I guess you kind of answered it with that campfire. Did it just continue to impress you, the levels of like his music?
yeah. So he's just yes, I loved his music for a long time. Like particularly that album, like because that album didn't even come out till a couple of years after that. You know, he didn't release that, and he released that as kind of I can't remember exactly. He just released it for the sake of releasing it, just being like, I don't know where my life's going to be going. I've got to at least put something out, you know. And then he
Right.
ended up putting that out, which was songs that he's had sitting on the shelf for ages, even before then. So it was like it's a similar thing with Sick Boys. It's like sat on this. It's like I need to get this album out really, and it's like most of the songs he sits on for a while before they even get the chance to see the light of day with a lot of them. Um, but that album, I think, yeah, really, really, I love it. Yeah, things like Crutch and
Oh,
the Angels, like those and their videos, like the video for Crutch, I just love.
oh
I
my
didn't,
God.
I didn't, I didn't shoot that video,
No, that
but
was Tom.
I think it was like with Tom.
Tom, yeah. I think that one was the Tom Slater, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I never got the chance to meet him. He used to live with Ren back in the day, but
Yeah,
yeah,
he hasn't had many, but I did notice that name because I've seen you and Luke's name pop up probably the most. But like, yeah, that one from Tom to me, and it was early, and like Pegasus kind of let me in on Ren's, medical history and troubles and stuff like that. Oh, that's while we're here on Ren, tell me what that's like having that as the basis of a brand to build videos off of. Like his content seems
yeah.
so unique, him, and it is rich of like avenues to go.
Yeah, it's he gives so much to go from. Like it's some of the videos just like write themselves, and it's just like going with them and flowing with them. It's like it's really interesting to see the journey as well from back then to now, and really see how like the videos have gone along with it, and how he definitely has such a like visual style that he likes, and the way that we've grown alongside each other to what we both like, and where our similarities lie and where they don't, and working out what our conflicts where the conflicts lie, and where the strengths really lie, and where we have to be flexible with each other's preferences and things like that. It's just like it's amazing to see that growth and the fact that he's grown so much as well. Like it's amazing to like just working with him. It's just like he's just getting better and better. Like his production's getting better, his writing's getting better, like his public, like where he relates in public, like interviews he does have just really like come off like so well. And it's just like he's just like grown so much. And I think that a lot of that's to do with the fact of his health being in like the positive incline as well, and the fact that when he's getting coming more and more himself again, you know, he's really finding his own voice again rather than it being a voice of desperation through his music. It's a voice of kind of like a lot more hope and a lot more belief,
Right.
self growth, and there's a lot of things like that that I really see in it, and it's just beautiful to be a part of that journey, really. Like, because he was one of my heroes when I was like 17, 18. You know, like he was definitely a huge role model for me because he's a couple years older as well. Like from the age of 16 to 20, he was like yeah, he was one of my heroes, you know. He was a big role
Right.
model for me. And
That's
then he's now a really good mate of mine, and it's like we're really close in that aspect. And that's just like it's just amazing to be part of that and really like see your role model grow and become like a man to look up to even more than before,
right.
you know.
Like to become just your mate to then become Superman in front of your eyes. You're kind of like, wow, like, and then
Yeah,
like you said, with his positive health incline, and then his positive attitude about the pain that came along with it, it's got to be inspiring. And I mean, it would
yeah,
make like you said, it's something really dope to be a part of, and it looks that way on the outside.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
the
go
team
ahead.
that's around him, the team that around him and grown as well is like I've got to shout out Josh as well, who's been part of the process for the last like 5 or so years. He was my first AC on a lot of the projects. My
Okay.
focus, for those people who don't know, making sure everything's in focus. Um,
Right.
been a magician on things like Money Game where he didn't have a monitor, and was pulling off the barrel and by sight, and to things like yeah,
Wow.
he's amazing. But now
Yo,
he's
real
taking
quick, I'm so glad you're here. I wanted people on my channel know how much is involved. I'm explaining them how much is involved and how many hands get in here that nobody like. I hate going to a video and not anything is said about any of the production people down there. I'm like, of course, nobody cares what we do, but it's so much right now. Beyond, you said Josh first AC. Anyone else that is part of your team then versus now that you want to take a moment to mention what they do, what value they've added, they'll be happy, but we'll
yeah.
also be happy to hear too.
So to start with, it was pretty much just me and Ren, and then like friends around just to let like give hands and be a part of it and be in them and getting stuff and things like that. But then it was we got started getting people like Josh involved to pull focus, and then Jacob Bacon, he came down and started doing some lighting and assisting stuff for me. And he's done the lighting for things like Illust of Our Time and stuff like that. And then people like Charlotte who's come to Spark and also pulled focus for me on a couple of videos. And they were both on Money Game Part 3 doing the lighting. Bo, the steady come up, has just been a magician. I'm going to bring him back up every time I possibly can because he's another god among men. He's just amazing. Um, then yeah, there's just been so many really like helpful people. Like back in the day, as my mate Connor, who isn't the Connor that everyone knows, but he came on and helped and produced some of the bits and bobs. But then there's Connor now, who's part of Ren's team. He's just he's made life so easy for Money Game Part 3. Like if he wasn't about, like that video wouldn't be what it is, you know.
Man,
And it's like he just there's so many people like that that have just like really changed the game, and the fact that we're getting more people like that involved is just like making it such a breeze. It's making huge improvements, and the more weight can be taken and more thought that can be taken off my head and Ren's head, the better, because we then can start being way more creative, way more like hyper focused on certain factors. And then it's also just like if them bringing their own creative flair and stuff, like
yeah.
Jacob Bacon, who's my gaffer now, and I use him as much as I can because I think he's amazing. He just
I do
comes.
too. I think Jacob Bacon. I read that name somewhere. I didn't correlate it to your consistent gaffer, but they know
Yeah,
on the channel I talk about lighting like nobody's business.
yeah, he's amazing, and it's just like it's having that creative relationship with him, like because we've worked together so many times now. It's like he'll come along, and I know he knows that if he's got something that he sees, he can tell me. I won't take it as him stepping on my toes. We're in a
Right,
creative process together, and he knows like I'm his boss, equivalent of, but we're creative partners, and we're not like I'm not above him in that sense, and he knows that, and it's like those kind of relationships where you come and have like complete creative freedom, but in a sense where it's you're not holding each other back. There's moments where you're like you won't have time to do these things, but like when you can judge those moments of when you can be creative and when you can kind of give forward ideas and be like, oh, what if you did this? You can throw it out the window. I've just had a thought. What if this? And it's like, oh yeah, that could be amazing. Or like, oh no, that's not actually going to work this time. I've already thought of that. Or like, and it's just like having those little thought processes can really like take a video from a 7 out of 10 to an 8, and like they're huge differences. Like within like such subtleties like oh what about this little eye light here and a little catch light or like yeah oh actually the backlight is not hitting this thing, what if we added another one or if we added a bounce in or it's like all those little things are just like amazing to have people with you to like grow and build off and have that kind of relationship with
I think
yeah
that's really important that you guys have that space to just try or to mention, and it doesn't hinder, or if somebody finds a problem with it, it's not personal. It's like I've taken into consideration all these other factors. Normally if we had time to play, I would play a little bit more, but we've got the lighting out here is creeping in the wrong direction, or what, yeah, whatever it is. Just know that my answer is technical based. It's not hate based. It's like you said, it's not
yeah
worrying about you trying to step on my toes or take my position. I think that's the most important when you're trying to build any type of team, quite frankly.
yeah yeah
Yeah, lucky for you to have that. And I think that once again, folks, it takes, the reason we get some of these great moments is because of the teamwork. Tons of people get in this videography game and they try and do it solo, and then you find out, oh shit, to get it all done, to really scale to whatever, you've got to start building that team of who you trust in.
I think that's a really big point is you're talking about videography, and I think that's the real difference between like videography and like I don't know the exact word, but cinematography or like
Cinematography.
filmmaking is like a
Right,
videographer is a one-man band, and like I'll be the first person to admit I'm not a videographer. Like
right,
one-man band is definitely not where my strength lies. I can do it, and I'll try my best, and we'll get the
right.
best we possibly can. But I like having a team under me. I like leading people, and I can delegate and get people to do things and creatively plan those things. And I'm less good about being like, "Oh, this thing's happening. Let's go film it." Like if I see something great and I can point a camera at it, great, I
Right,
will. But if I can plan a shot, plan a sequence, really
right.
intricately like build a world through those shots and a
Oh,
narrative through them, that's where I shine, and that's my strengths,
build a
really.
world. Someone write that down. Build a world. Oh yeah, you really spoke to me on that, and I think you've seen the results of what happens when you take that extra time or delegation,
Yeah.
um, using that group. I mean, and we've seen those results, and that's why I said I've been super inspired to do the same thing. And I by no means, when I say like I'm a videographer, I actually say I'm a videographer because I don't think my stuff looks super cinematic. So I shy away from calling myself a filmmaker because I don't know. I guess it takes pressure off
I
me. I
think
just go
I think
videographer.
you're I think that's more just talking about your style, and I think the fact is videographers can be super cinematic. You can, as a one-man band, create incredibly cinematic stuff. But I think a lot of that comes down, and what cinematic comes down to is such an opinionated thing. Is like I think the whole thing of being like, oh, let's make it cinematic. That's absolute bullshit to me.
Right.
pardon my French, like it's not a thing. Like I think you've got to just make something look right for what you're doing. And I think some things need to be super crisp and super like clean and super no fancy curls or no thing. It needs to just be a very simple thing and it needs to be done right. And there's
Right.
a time and a place for all of those. And then some things need to be super dark and gritty and loads of grain and
Or
loads of
like the
like
super
flares and
contrasting for like,
blues.
yeah, or
Yeah,
it needs to look like reality. It needs to look like surveillance footage. So it's not supposed to, the lighting
yeah,
doesn't have to be beautiful, or it can be grainy, or um yeah. So once again, creative choices that that all come with what we do, which is trying to capture a moving image to at least 24 of those images per second. Yo, uh
unless you're under cranking.
right, yeah. I oh Yo, I have a question about that later, or something kind of near in that realm a little bit later. I'm so glad that we got a chance to kind of highlight the people that have helped you, though, like, because once again, that's really what, like, like the people I talk to in my little community I'm building on YouTube. It's a big focus on the production that goes into that, and giving folks credit, and then being able to kind of like help people spot what I look for when I go, ooh, when I have to pause something and nothing was said or nothing, and I have
Yeah,
to explain, like, look at the composition of this, or there's this classic rule of thirds, or oh my God, look at the gradient of the shadow roll off on this side. Like, these are things that get me super amped, and like, wow, the
oh
care
yeah,
to that.
yeah,
It doesn't get show if it's done right. Usually it never gets spoken about. It like
yeah,
we just
yeah,
we just
100%.
focus on the song at hand, or the movie scene, or whatever.
Then us camera nerds and lighting nerds will just like actually geek out in the corner. Yeah, 100%. Talking about people to be like really thankful for, like the team I've currently built with the Square Sun guys has been amazing. So I've just launched a production company, and like we've been working on it the last like year. We launched like a couple months ago, but Ruben and Poppy, Ruben's a director and Poppy's a producer, and they're the team that we just did the latest Knox video. Uh,
Ruben and Poppy, shout out to them, y'all. If
and
y'all
they
can, try and find them on social media and tell them thank you.
Yeah, Ruben's like a wicked director. He's super creative, and just collaborating with him recently a lot has just been really inspiring and really wicked. And Poppy's fairly new to the producing game, but she's just already way better than either of us are in like organizing shoots. And for the next shoot coming up, we've got some madness happening, and she's just absolutely killing it. So it's been a pleasure to work with them and taking huge weights off my shoulders when doing videos and things. So it's just like it's lush. It's just lush to have that kind of creative group of people around you.
Oh, it is, and I wish I would have started earlier, because like, I'm in the process of creating people that I can go to and work to locally, with maybe hopes of one day creating, whatever Voltron or whatever it needs to be. But um it's something I wish I would have started way earlier, because I can see when you talk about them, the appreciation of not having to think about production details, and just going, I want my frame right. Does it match the tone of the topic? And I can see
Yeah,
you like light up when you speak about that. So that it just goes unbeknownst. So that was Ruben and Poppy from your most recent production company that y'all been working together for a year, but you said you only launched a few months
we,
ago.
we launched the company back in the end of like June, beginning of July. So we're like it's fresh. We've just been building our portfolio and things like that with the aim of kind of going towards more commercial stuff, but also dabbling in all sorts of video production kind of side of things.
Right. Yeah. I can see without bounds your direction is ready to start moving that way. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to them. I can't thank them enough. Yesterday I did have a moment, and I'm about to go ahead and switch over. As I'm watching the time. I know you guys want to discuss the music videos. We're here. We're here. You made it. You made it. You made it. Now we get to discuss. So we were starting to discuss them so much I couldn't get away from them anyway. So real quick, we're gonna probably just kind of go over some of my favorite Ren, just because that's the favorite here, even
Yeah,
though, once again, guys, we've seen him with music videos all over. I highly suggest, too, while I'm here and I'm thinking about it, go to his personal cinematography. It's Samuel Perry-Falvey at uh or .co.uk. It's yeah,
Yeah.
it shows you more than just what we get to see on YouTube. Some of the other artists that I've done some reviews of that members on my channel have seen, but they're slowly starting to come out for you guys on the public sector. Some of that work is super done and dope, and it kind of shows like the range of work that he's done. And so you can imagine like all the stuff that we love, it's stuff that he's updated. Imagine when he updates his website again with all
There's
the
so
new
there's
stuff.
there's so much not come out. There's the short film that I've been dying to come out for ages that's coming out this next week, even called Bugbear. That was been the best short film I've shot for like the last
Bug what?
3 4 years. Bugbear. And
Bugbear, you guys keep an eye out. Bugbear 1 week from today or
yeah,
within the
but it's just being premiered. It was premiered I think yesterday, but I think it's out like properly on YouTube and stuff next week.
you're gonna
But
have to
yeah,
send me the link, brother. Because if you're
yeah.
excited for it, your examples haven't let me down yet. Um,
Yeah, so in terms of cinematography, that went and won best cinematography at Cornwall Film Festival and stuff. So yeah, it's done some bits on the circuit, and that's really exciting. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, there's so many narrative pieces, especially that have never seen the light of day, that's been really upsetting. But yeah, there's plenty of things coming out. Like I've got a sci-fi film that I directed that's currently in post-production. Uh,
Oh,
a
I'm totally
dark
here for it to
comedy.
support you, bro.
Um,
I am totally here to
yeah,
support you on that.
there's
Real
about
quick,
4 or 5 short films that are in post at the moment, so that's all very exciting. But
yeah,
yeah,
you guys, when he says in post, he means like, they're putting the final touches on it. And there's nothing more frustrating than waiting for a piece of your work to get put out when you want to show everybody right now.
yeah.
Okay, so really quick, a list of some, maybe not all, videos that you have done for Ren. I'm gonna double check. If I said something in here, no disrespect, but I'm just run off the names really quick. Hi Ren, Money Game, Illest of Our Time, The Jenny Screech Violet,
Mhm.
Sick Boy,
Yeah.
Genesis, Losing It, Blind Eye, Children of the Moon, and soon to come Money Game 3. Any of those you didn't?
Um, there
Blind.
was no Blind Eyed. I did the live and the music video for that. I did What Went Wrong as well.
Okay.
Uh, there was
Genesis.
losing it. I did a sum of, but most of that's Ren on his own with a 360 camera.
Okay.
But yeah, all of those, and then I did some of his retakes. I did like
Right. Fat
the
Boy
one
Slim.
right here, the Fatboy Slim one,
Uh,
Wildfire, all of those.
well, these were the ones that I had questions about, or like
Yeah,
nerd out
yeah,
cinematography stuff. So
yeah,
um and as far as losing it, it was what I wanted to discuss was like 360 cam and the vanishing stick. You can pretty much give that to him and tell him film that
yeah,
wherever.
yeah. There's so much freedom with that. The fact is, you've just got to. I mean, you want to have one of the cameras directly pointing at your subject so that they
Right.
can have the best quality possible. But yeah, really, there's so much freedom with that. The fact it's on a stick, you just looks like such a cool thing when you do the globe effects and all of the
Right.
different things. It's like there's so much you can create with it that it's just such a simple tool to really create a wicked video from.
So
And
like
Ren
you
really
would give
smashed that.
Ren the stick, and then you collaborated all the footage and
But he
edited.
did it all. He did it all. Ren does a lot of the video work. Like
Okay.
so he does a lot of the editing. I'll do some of the editing. Some of the videos I've edited, he's edited some of the videos.
Okay.
A lot of the videos, he's color graded like 1 or 2 of them, but I've color graded most of them, or we've done them together.
Okay.
Um, and then it's like, yeah. So we've basically divvy it up. Like, he's done his fair share of kind of being part of the video growth as well. So it's very much he's got definitely an understanding of the world for sure. Um,
Yeah, I always see it will say, like directed by you and him. And I
yeah.
would assume he had some of the direction and stuff like that, but it sounds like you're letting me know like he's even had more hands-on in the
No,
production.
yeah, it's 50-50. Like
Okay.
it's a project we work on together and make together, and like throughout it's like a collaborative process. And I
Right.
think that's just like never been truer than the more recent projects. So it's like, yeah, for sure.
Dang. Well, okay. I just wanted to discuss it because that one was, I think, one of my first ones going because I was just kind of getting introduced to the 360 cam around that time, and then I was losing it was like an example of to me is like, oh, how it could be used in a music video, and I was like, oh man, there are a lot of things I think if I sat down and put my mind to it, it'd be really fun to use. But it wasn't. There are some higher uh cinematic
Priorities.
pieces that I enjoy. Let me start off with High Ren being my first introduction. And some of these videos they're going to have like comments. Um some of them will have questions, but just from, somebody in the production game looking at yours, I either wanted to compliment you on it or hear maybe a small tidbit. If at any time, feel free
Mhm.
to jump in. On High Ren, I love the blue walls. I also love uh the same blue in Sick Boy. Obviously not the same room, or I don't think so. But
It's the same room,
is it?
very, but with a different look. Like we've built things into the rooms to make them different, and then
Oh,
we've also the lighting and textures and colors and the color scheme in the grade was intentionally different. Like High Ren is definitely much warmer than Sick Boy.
yes.
Sick Boy feels a lot more sterile and a lot
Cold.
colder, and
Yes.
like very much like the idea is to very much feel like it's not a pleasant place to be. And the fact that you've got that cold feeling, it just gives off that feeling of like, yeah,
And you guys,
hostility.
if you want to know why he's saying that, go look at the lighting in between the two. If you'll notice in High Ren, the lamps in the back, they're kind of like tungsten or
The
whatnot.
tungsten, yeah,
Right. So the blue from the wall contrasts very well with Ren's skin tone and those lights. But then if you go look into the Sick Boy video, the lights give more of a bluer tone instead of a warm reddish tone. You guys probably like we know it as tungsten and fluorescent, but like you guys who are new to it, just think of it as like orange and blue, and you'll see that little blue tint on like Ren's skin. I think they had a tube light that was blue in the room with Ren
yeah,
and the doctor, what have you. The doctor's shirt was blue. I love the blue because it really speaks to, and I don't know if it was choice, but now that I hear you're building the sets, it spoke to the state of mind he was kind of in. Now, given High Ren has more hope, and that's why, like with the lens flare and what have you, I think that sits separate from Sick Boy, where Sick Boy looks unended, just like I'm gonna be in this loop.
yeah. We definitely made definite conscious choices to do with the terms of like tone and color and feeling and the fact. So yeah, with Sick Boy, we put the sink in there in the back. We
Wow.
attached that to the wall. We attached the tiles and the mirror to the wall, and then had to rip them all off afterwards and attach the tube into the ceiling and stuff. And then all the table and everything we obviously brought in. But yeah, they're identical locations, so it was just like trying like not hiding the fact that they're the same location, but it's just showing. For us it was kind of like, okay, how can we create two very different feelings using a very similar space and having a very different like emotive thing just from the space and the colors like alone, let alone the content of the video.
They
um
were not missed upon me. So I appreciated them. Um, awesome. You've answered. I was going to go into Money Game next, but you've answered some. I wanted to give a shout out to Romain because I found that out through the comments that he was in the match. Shout out to him for all
yeah,
those. And then, was there a small green tint, or did you lean to the
yeah,
green a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit in
So
that?
so to do the camera we used an Arri Alexa
Okay.
for it, which generally the Arri that Arri camera is very good at going towards that green tint. Like the camera does skin tones and stuff so well, but like if you push it towards the greens it creates are like no other camera can produce greens for me personally in the same way. And I really love the way it kind of produces those. So that really kind of lined up. And yeah, we definitely went for that tone to do with that location, just lighting wise. So we used all the lights in the space are practical, but there's like 50 lights up there, and I've gone up and taped round the edges of each of them and given them all a little skirt so that they're not spreading out across the whole space, but they're all kind of spotting down onto the floor. Um, and then that kind of shapes the space a lot more and has pockets of these light. Actually, there's one or two of them where we left sides open,
Right.
so it gives him more backlight for certain sections of shots. And it,
Wow, you guys, this man, the detail to go up there. When he says like skirt, what he's meaning is light will spill unless you tell it where to go. And by spill, it means it might light something you don't want lit. And so it did have these unique pockets now that I'm thinking about it again.
it would have
Wow.
just been a much more soft filled kind of space, and it would have been a lot flatter. So it's like to create the light from going everywhere and bouncing off all of the surfaces, having them come directly down to the ground and bouncing off the ground meant that you got much more like distinguished shadows and kind of much more control over those over the whole scene.
And then
um
leaving certain ones because you're like, oh, but I can't get rid of this backlight when we get
yeah,
over here, they'll leave that edge. Oh, that is super super uh, difference makers in those decisions. Also, I also found out that Bo, shout out to Bo, for, you said he came through with the steady cam work on that.
yeah. So he was operating and like traveling around with that, and then I was hid behind a pillar with a little screen being like, is this the one, is this the one? And so
Right.
because we couldn't have him covered in oil unless it was the one, I was just there like, is there anything wrong, is there anything wrong, it's wrong, cut, go again from the beginning.
Right.
And
Before we
just
get
like
to the
it was
pouring of
just
the
like,
liquid, stop.
yeah. And then it was also little things like, because Josh didn't have a monitor, so for focus wise, like I was his eyes. So if it was out of focus and it like in a bad way, because for me, I don't care if everything's sharp the entire time.
Right.
Like I think depending on the project, some things need to just be sharp and they need to just be completely in focus. But sometimes it's how you go from being in focus to not. If
Right.
it's like a gradual fade and you can traverse through those moments and it doesn't jump out to someone, then I think you're loving life. I think it's just being part of being a human, where the eyes led to. It's just like it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Um, but
Gives it
obviously,
more character too for me. Like
yeah,
sometimes if it doesn't look mechanical, mistakey, but just takes a little while to, sometimes that happens. So yeah,
yeah. So
I
it's
hear.
like the first thing I'll ever say to a focus puller is like, if you're out, it's fine. Don't try and quickly correct it.
Right.
Bring it back in, slowly back in. Like, of course, you want as much of it in focus as possible, really, but it's like those kind of intuitive little kind of things and just being there, part of it and moving with it is all of it. So then Josh was basically looking at where the camera was, where Ren was, being like, okay, that's about 6 foot, move to 6 foot. Oh, he's moving a bit closer. Oh, that's 4 foot. Let's go to 4 foot. Oh, so he was measuring the distances by eye between the two and going off that for focus. So it's just he was amazing for that, and it was incredible.
Let's go, Josh. And then so Bo's on the camera, Josh is off to the corner pulling focus, right?
Not to the corner. He's running around with him.
Oh, like right behind him.
They're like next to each other. So it's
Okay,
a
yeah.
dance. Everyone needs to know where they're going to be at every
Wow.
point, not being shot, not blocking any light, not making
Not creating
sound.
unnecessary shadows. Yeah. Oh
Just all live
man.
as well, so they can't be heavy-footed at all. Like,
No wonder 183 takes, bro.
yeah,
You I mean
yeah,
you guys you had the whole set of speed bumps stacked against you there, my man. Okay.
yeah.
See, and that's what I wanted to kind of get into, is just some of those things. I think they're already interested in hearing when someone types it out or speaks about it in a small snippet interview, but having a place like this where they can come and get a lot of these little tidbits, I think will be super dope for them. So yeah, those are the things I noticed from it. Love Money Game. Well, part one is probably, it's up there battling, okay,
Yeah,
for
I'm
my
well
favorite.
excited. I'm well excited for you to see part three.
I I'm gonna get to that, but I cannot wait because I can
Yeah.
tell the way Ren speaks about it that you guys did it. I can tell by the laugh that was captured in that photo of you guys. I could tell that you guys really were proud. Like it was almost like pride laughter in that moment. So I'm super super, super excited, especially after some of the most recent stuff I've seen you do. Okay, moving on real quick. Illest of our time,
Yeah,
T Angel transition. I was having a
love it.
convo with someone. Was that pre-planned or not?
So everything in that was pre-planned.
Okay, see, I felt like he was
Every transition in that entire thing was pre-planned.
because you did like a disappear behind a pole one.
There
And
was loads.
I was telling someone he just stood here for too long in between because me and another videographer were like, sometimes when you film multiple takes, specifically with rap, the rapper might do the same hand motion in two
Yeah,
different locations. And so you sometimes luckily have a lineup like that
yeah,
just on happenstance. But I looked at it and it looked like he deliberately stood like this with his shirt off. And then when we showed him rooftop, he was still standing here a little bit longer than I thought. So
yeah. It was all planned, and it's the thing with those is like because you're singing along, for you to get emotion to match up, like you need to have that motion pre-planned, and it's like we've done that with a lot. Like I think it's really important to have that discussions with artists and be like, look, this moment we want to cut from here to here. Let's get a routine of something you're going to do to cut. Like in the latest Knox video we did, where we had him turn one way to the cameras and facing each way for that thing. You've got to know the exact moment on the line that he's going to turn. And then you've got to be like, right, this is when we need you to do it. We need you to go and practice turning for each of those points. And he nailed that one. But it's the same thing for the Ren video. It's like you've got to have those moments known. And it's like, yeah, that Illust of Our Time was a lot of fun for that. There was some painstakingly long bits in post, just like trying to get those like passes right. And there's like the ones where you go from the hooligans to the other group facing off them, like
yeah.
going past that pillar, getting the pillars to be right and the movement of the space, because the exact point you're moving and the height and the way you're moving, because you're not using a robotic arm, you're doing it by it's on
No.
my shoulder, you know? It's like I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get that the same every time, you
No.
know? So matching that was just such a faff. But like it came off and no one's noticed the cuts that
I
I was the most painstaking about. There's a couple there that I would definitely like love to do again, you know, but that's
right.
just as a creative, I'm a perfectionist and it's like no one's complained about any of the shots that I don't like, so it's fine. Um
I know what that's like where you're like every time you see it, you're like, oh God, you didn't okay, thank you. Whew. Yo, okay, I love it. I saw the hurdle that you had from the arm whip pan shot from the two
yeah,
different sets of guys with the pillars. Also the speed, because we're not mechanical robots, so you got to make
yeah.
sure the speed at which you turn the first one, you want to try and mimic that same. Otherwise, you got to do some screen manipulation as far as time intervals. But I'm
Yeah, that
loving it. The
that
videographers are probably loving it. So,
yeah.
um,
That video was special. Got to shout out Jacob again because the lighting for that one just was really good. I really enjoyed that. Things like the beam of the Source 4 coming down through the space, things like that, and having like with the hooligans, you don't really notice it, but in the far background there's a flickering light, little things like that that just give texture to the space that are just like really like super kind of like depth to it that people won't pick up on, but just like really made that for me.
yeah, I think
Alongside the fact of like fire alarms going off and you're in an illegal squat and people
uh,
are threatening to other people because it's just like full of nutters and you don't know what's going to happen. Like that whole video was carnage. But yeah, really happy with how it came out.
I think we all are too. And once again, I like to showcase all that work that goes unnoticed. People don't know and they have no idea. Like I think it should be more highlighted. Your Jenny and Screech and Violet. What I can say about that um is like I just want to compliment how hmm, how well one that you choose the range or the dynamic range that you can to last in ever so changing areas. It didn't look to me like you guys had chance to set up extra lighting. Yay or nay?
Uh, no extra lighting for Jenny's tail. No, if there was any for Screech, it was super, super minimal. I don't think
I
there
don't
was.
think so. I don't think
I don't
so.
think there was.
No.
And then for Violet's Tale, there was one.
Okay.
No, there was the inside was the
All.
room,
Okay.
the room that with the bed, that's
Yep.
all lit.
Okay.
The hallway, I did little skirts on the tubes, so they're a tiny bit
Okay.
less on the walls, but there's still plenty because we really wanted that bit to stay super clinical and feel super hospital and
Right.
really washed out and really make him feel like he was in this kind of a bit of an abyss, so that the walls and the things all merged into one and it felt a bit like,
Yeah. It had
um
that texture, like it all blent together.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, you had little things like the posters and stuff to just remind you, like, oh yeah, hospital.
Yeah.
And that little bit of just being like, okay, yeah, he's in a hospital, but then you want that feeling that kind of comes with it. But to just make that whole space a bit more believable. But outside, we had one light hitting where he did he was did the circling, talking
Okay.
to Violet on the floor. Why are you so quiet?
Why
That
Violet? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because that he goes into a dark pocket, so we had to rig a light with a cable back through the door that he comes through from the building, round out
Wow.
the way, and like wire that quite far. But other than that, it's just the whole natural space, and I really like how you go in and out of light. And it was there is a an iris pull when we go through the door,
Okay.
so we do stop up, so we get more light.
Just a
Um,
small smidget.
just so
I
everyone
didn't
knows,
even notice.
it's a aperture pull, so it's
Yep.
like the size of the hole in your lens. We just opened that up so we got more light, so it could be compensating for going
And you said
outside.
on the door transition from the
Um,
room to the hallway,
yeah, yeah, when we went through the door, there's a iris pull there.
and
Um,
then no one would be of the wiser like on that door.
yeah,
So yeah, I to me, I think it was all super. Like I said, on the screeches, there was, in my opinion, there wasn't any. Just because like when it starts off, it's kind of looking up the stairwell, and there's some super bright hot lights going on up there,
oh yeah,
and I'm like, oh, he can't he can't push that one any higher whatsoever, because by the time they come down in the stairs you lose a lot of light. And so I was like,
yeah.
he's got to expose for that there without blinding us up here. And then it just made me go, it's a testament to understanding your camera's range, what you can push it in post. And then now it sounds like by the time you guys got to Violet's Tale was like, if we need to do some extra, we will, like.
Yeah, we just with each of them we just up the ante so much. Like I think even just to do with the way they were operated, like Jenny's was super simple in terms of just like it's that movement down the back,
Right,
following back. There's a couple of different framing moments, but really we're just capturing this moment. And then
right.
with Screeches, we're like, right, how can we make this more dynamic? How can we have more visual storytelling? Even down to the things like him taking the phone, us spinning and fitting
Knocking.
it in, and then the guitar gunshot and things like that. Just like how can we up that again? And then we did that again with Violets. And I think it's just like every time being like, okay, how can we push this to being more like a film alongside it being a live session? And as alongside him playing the music all live and recording all of that, because it's just yeah, I think it's just one of those things that no one else has really done, and I think it's really exciting to be a part of, even and just the growth of it, and just the way we've developed what we do, because it's just been wicked.
I agree thoroughly. Really quick, I'm gonna jump to this one, which is Blind Eye. Ren downstairs. Is he was there some time manipulation with the song that you played on set and a difference
Yes,
made in post? I just
yeah.
wanted to make
So
sure I wasn't
so
crazy.
I've got a BTS video of it somewhere. That's great. So it's like the beginning bit's all normal time with Sam out the front, Sam Tompkins out the front. Go through the hallway, and it's looking like it's half speed. It's like half speed slow motion of us going through the house. But that means that when we were playing it back on the day, that section was playing back double speed. So the
Right,
time it looks like it takes me to get downstairs, I do it twice as quick as that.
right.
So I am absolutely pelting it
Booking
through
it.
this house, down the stairs to come land in this moment, and someone behind me comes and then puts a chair down, and I sit down, right? And so that next section is the songs playing back slowed
Yep.
one time, so that everyone's movements in post will then be sped up and
Sped
look
up.
nice and thing.
But his
So
mouth will still
Ren had to
be on the
learn
word.
how to sing the song twice as slow.
Yeah.
Um, so that was fun. But in hindsight, going back, if we were going to do that again, I think we would slow it down like 4 times. So it's like super slow and everyone's moving so much more quickly. Because I think
More
as a
quickly.
technique, it was really cool. But I think we should have pushed it even further
Yep,
for
I
that
agree.
section. And then
Respectfully,
going
I
back up.
agree.
Yeah.
Respectfully, yeah, I saw. I was like, if it was just moving a little bit faster. Now, I've done it in the reverse. I think where I did it fast but slowed it down, so
Yeah. I've
everything's
done
moving in
that as
slow
well.
motion, but the mouth is still on. Whereas I've never done it your way, where it was, yeah, slow everything down on set to speed it up in post. But I remember like a lot of my Buster Rhymes videos that I fell in love with in the 90s were done that way. That effect was put on it and it just added so much. Like it just gave so
Yeah.
much
Character.
animation and such a different feel. It didn't feel real. And so I don't know. It was, the kid in me wanted to make sure that I saw what I saw. Okay,
Yeah.
real quick, because I know I'm being long-winded. Children of the Moon. I don't know why I waited until last week, I think was when I first reacted to it. And now that I'm finding out today, that's one of you and Ren's first music videos.
It was the first music video.
Bro, that thing to me is one of my favorites. And I don't know if I expressed it completely, but like I can see some of the production corners due to cost or maybe spaces or having this or
Cost
that.
us 50 pounds or something that video cost us.
It is, I'm talking, and I just wrote down just like the scenes were all, they all worked, they all sold, they all like, given we didn't have a straight jacket, but it sold and it worked with the writing on the wall and him playing with his eyeshadow on and him giving you massive amounts of, but we
Yeah.
have the opening silent film look, the horror story opening silent film joint, the zombie
Yeah.
shots, even though they weren't used that much, the with the wobbling sound, and even him just walking through the street for that second, I could
Okay.
see
I've got
the.
a great story about that bit.
Tell me about it, bro.
That that was absolutely carnage. So at this point, I was on my like after having my like I had my first photography camera. It was a Nikon. I just got this 5D Mark III.
Okay, Cannon,
It was
let's
like my
go.
new Canon. It was like I loved it. It was great. That's what I shot that video on. We were filming him in the street for that bit.
Mm.
Two guys on a moped come past, try and swipe the camera while I'm. I had one hand on it. It slaps it, smacks it to the ground. They're off. It doesn't. They don't have the camera, but the camera's on the ground, cracked, broken. And I was like, it didn't. It still worked. So we
Oh,
just filmed the last little bits, and then it died about 2 weeks later. The camera just was like, no.
yeah.
So it was like, luckily I had an insurance cover job ski do it, but it
I
was like one of those ones where it was just like
I mean, and nobody, no, man,
carnage.
my heart sunk while you told me. I was like, oh, because I hate when
Yeah,
they fall. When you hear the lens has a unique sound when it hits the ground. It's nothing like everything you've heard
yeah,
before.
no, I
Oh,
I I had a full I just yeah, you just don't know what to do in that kind of situation. You just kind of like melt a little bit. Like it's just like you're just like I
that's
just
crazy.
this is absolutely horrible. It's horrible.
Okay.
But
I just wanted to tell you with all those, even the straight jacket, the clowns in the spotlight, the exorcism scene, and even the surgery heart removal, like you gave it so much and it all fit with the crazy idea of
okay,
these kids who live
yeah,
below and come up at night. And it was just like I was over some of the other newer ones, I have more of a love for that one. And I
yeah.
think it's just because I can appreciate, like I said, the lack of production dollars put
This
behind.
is it. We were just like, we want to make a B movie horror thing, and we just want to make it go and hit every stereotype and do it, and just like on nothing, and just make it, just have a lot of fun with it. Like
It.
the heart scene, we went to the butcher's across the road and got a pig's heart, right? And it's the bench, the table he's on is a tattoo like piercing shops tattoo bench that we were like, oh, do you mind if we come and shoot in for half an hour when you close? They're like, oh yeah, sure, cool. And it was just like blagging little things like that that really like just made that all come together. And then there's the doorway. Oh my God, shooting the doorway with the straight jacket and having all the writing over the walls.
Right.
Like that's just a doorway on the
Just
side of the road. Like we went there and just it was covered in graffiti,
right.
and we like we'll paint it white and we'll write Children of the Moon all over it. We'll put on high vises. Just like I do not recommend you do this in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But and then the police rolled past as we'd just been painting it white. They got, I was like, they went past, came
Then
back,
came back. Right.
and then, yeah, and they were just like, "What are you boys doing?" And we were like, "Oh, hey, officer. So yeah, there was just a bit of racist graffiti on the wall, and we were just painting over it because we just really don't want that shit going
Hand
on, you know."
up. Respect my
And it's just
community, sir.
and we're just like, "Come on, like that's just what we're doing. Once we're finished up doing this, we're gonna go home. I hope that's all right with you guys." And they were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Cool. Have a nice evening, guys." And we went off, and then we just got out the Sharpies and started, you know.
Shout out to y'all because they
Um,
it was full of writing. Lastly, like I said, I can't get over how much I really loved Children of the Moon, and I waited so long, and I've seen so much more production value put into so much other. But as one filmmaker to another, I just wanted to say, like, man, for that, now that I know is you guys' first, and don't look at it as like, oh, it's our cheeky little first. No, like I am like
no, I
so
love it.
impressed. It matches with the music perfectly, and I love it. Oh, after all these years. Um, Lastly, I want to leave on yesterday there was a release.
Yes, there was.
My man, I am now I'm going to, you can feel free to tell me how like it came about, but I want to give you your compliments and your kudos off rip. Um the 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 texture of the film with the lighting everywhere was so even and like crispy and buttery, and it had that play in a movie cinema feel. Like that's how great the texture of all the film looked. um the little things like him turning his head, taking the time to do that, amp up just the little scene where he's just cleaning around in the front room was like that, because otherwise that'd be real boring to just do, one shot of him and then cutting back and forth with some other stuff. I wanted to give a shout out to the hair and makeup on that because the transition of your actress lady was phenomenal. I want to give her kudos because like I said in my thing, I don't know how she's okay, so we want you to like really love this pot, and she's looking at you guys crazy like, what do you mean? I just, the level that it looked, now given Knox's story that he wrote musically had with a lot to give you guys, right? But
Yeah.
it was just so well done. I thought the choruses sat so much different but included to the whole thing. I can't get over how well production wise jumped since last I've seen your work. Okay, please, how did that go?
So yeah, so I met Knox on the Money Game set. He came through to kind of just meet Ren and kind of just say hey on our prep day. And I met him then. We went to the pub and just had a good like laugh. We just got on really well. There was just a lot of banter and just instantly, I don't know what it was. I just instantly felt like I could take the mick out of him and he could take it and take the mick out of me. And we just instantly had one of those kind of like
Relationship,
friendships where it was just
right?
like we were just blessed and it was just like yeah, we're on a level and like we can just have a laugh and it not be personal or anything. And it's just
Right.
like I know absolutely nothing about you, but I can already tell you like take the piss out of you and like all these different things. And it was just like beautiful the like how easily that was. And then he hit me up being like, well, I messaged him I think being like, yeah, we've got to link up at some point, man, because it's what
We
we
have
do. I
right.
make videos and you make music. Like, why wouldn't we? And then he was like, "Yeah, I've got this track," and I was like, "Wicked! I've got these guys who I really think this would be really a great experience for. Like, just to practice like working together, because we hadn't done very much as a team, a whole team. I'd done a couple bits with Ruben before, but I hadn't done a piece with Poppy before that one. So it was like,
Okay.
right, we really need to just get a piece like and work on some stuff together and get like work out how we kind of groove together. And it was like it just worked so smoothly. Like both of them absolutely smashed the project. Poppy's just amazing, and just producing it just comes to her so naturally, and like it's just so great having them both. And Ruben's so creative, and me and him just like in terms of like he may be the director, but we bounce ideas off each other. It's like such an open creative process in
Oh,
pre-production, like, that it's just like I feel like a real like it's amazing to be a creative amongst him, because it's like all the turning ideas was all him, and he did a previs of him doing all of it. Like he
that's
went and did
above
the
and
whole
beyond.
thing, and then he was like he sent it to Knox. He was like, "This is what I need you to learn how to do, and this is what I need you to do." And then Knox was like, "Oh, that's sick," and he was like, "Perfect."
I bet Knox was
Exactly
like,
what to
I'll
do.
do whatever you say. If this is the level you bring in me, like I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Yeah, so that was amazing, and it's just like the whole process with all of them was lush. Working with Knox has just been really lovely. And then it was the first project I've shot as well with my new camera, so that's always fun. And
That's why. It looked
yeah,
like you were using it when you were over in Canada with Ren. So
just now, yeah, just
some
took it over
stuff to
there.
come, but that was the first thing we're seeing
That
with the
was the
new one.
first thing that yeah,
You
my
could
new Alexa 35.
the range was like you could just see the dynamic
It's
range.
it's insane. It's got 19 stops of dynamic range.
Like you could
It's
just
like
tell the shadow work on the books, on the
yeah,
little bookshelves, like the depths of the shadow levels and stuff throughout that, but while still retaining so much of it and not
yeah.
blowing out your window
It
primary light.
gives you
Like,
so much creative choice and freedom, and like it means I can really control. It just gives you just so much more scope. It's like, right, how dark do we want the darks, and what
oh,
scale do we want the darks to be in, and where do you want that to fall under? And the highlights, it's like, okay, right, so we've got this very direct light. How much do we want to move the light around to wrap it round, or are we still getting the details in the shadows there that we don't need to, and you can have that harsher line of contrast, like, or do you need that soft wrap? It's like it just is a whole other like dynamic to kind of start working within, because it's just given like it's like you've got your paint palette and you've just got different tones of colors within each of those tones.
oh,
Like it's a joy.
making me
It's a joy.
jealous. You're making
Yeah,
me jealous hearing you talk about it because I can
yeah.
see it on the footage and it was and this is you Ruben and Poppy's first project under your guys' belt
This is
together.
our first music. This was our first music video project under Square
Okay,
Sun.
so other projects, but this one
Yeah,
it works. I mean, hey, pay
yeah,
attention, folks, musicians, anybody who heard this who wanted to work with them. It is only going to get better from here on out. Like, I mean, the more practice they get, so I get in
yeah.
right now before
The
they start believing in themselves.
yeah, the one we're working on, the new one we're working on with Knox is looking very exciting. We've got another
Okay,
one
well,
on.
so here this leads me to ask. We already eaten into these people's lives for how long we've been going so far, but um I was wondering it. I You can't tell me anything about Money Game now because I want to react like
No,
everybody else and I want to
I
record
ain't
myself.
telling you. No
No,
matter
I
how
mean
much
I
you're
don't
not
want.
allowed. No, no,
I don't want to know anything. I'm not even going to ask
no,
you to tell me.
no.
Listen,
Stop. No.
listen. I don't want to know because otherwise I will give I want to you've seen what I do when I react, so I want it to be authentic. But after it comes out, can I get you back on the horn and
Yeah,
try
man,
this again?
we can do another one of these. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
well, just specifically for the production of Money
Yeah,
Game 3 to
yeah,
allow you the same type of platform where we can talk about like that production thing. I think it would be a really unique highlight that when like a new project come out, if there are videographer reactors like myself, if we could highlight, hey, that music that they made was amazing too, but you visually wouldn't have been entertained without what's your name of your production crew, son?
the Square Sun Studio. Yeah, Square Sun Studios.
Square Sun Studios. Without Square Sun Studios, it'd just be in. But look what they put on Knox's Jump or whoever is next down the line. So yeah, I'd love to do that because otherwise, me and
Yeah,
you, I have a feeling we could probably jump off into any type of production conversation for hours.
Yeah. Give me any of the projects I like. But the thing is, with this one, I feel like I could talk about it for so long. There's so much in it that I just
I
really
can't
get.
wait. All right, then it's a day. It's a promise because I'm probably gonna release this in about a week or so, which is then I think it drops us down to about 3 weeks until start ramping up for the release of Sick Boy
Yeah,
and stuff. So then after it's come out and I've had a chance to react, if I can either like in the next day or two get you on the horn, that way we can create another platform, and I bet people will be super like, because they're already going to ask so many questions in every reactor's comments, like how did they pull this off, or did they do this, or does this symbolism mean this symbolism here, and then to have you there to answer it, luckily with me to ask these nerdy questions, I think would be really positive.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. It's like all the little nitty gritty secrets that
Right.
you don't really want everyone to know, but you really want
You
everyone to know.
right. You don't want them to know, but you want them to know. All right.
Yeah,
Well, in closing, Sam, I can't let you leave, bro. You've been an inspiration to me and many others, with all the musical video contributions you've made, and I'm sure soon like the big silver screen for all of us, in every home sooner than we probably imagine. And so right now, while you're just starting to blow up here in the YouTube space as far as being our like favorite and most kind music videographer, sir, we want to give you the Oscar for the most sweetest and kindest and talented music videographer we have out here in these streets. Sir, on your behalf, I know you can't be here, but I'm gonna accept your award on your behalf.
that's so appreciated, dude. You put that on your best shelf. You put it there just for me. Yeah, beautiful.
It's gonna be in all the videos somewhere, and then on occasion I'm gonna turn and point to it and be like, "Yeah, this is his award here." If you ever make it stateside, I'm gonna do my best to meet up with you and give it to you in person.
Yeah, beautiful. That's so good.
Yo, because I
Thank
just
you
felt
so
like I
much.
was like, what do we want? Sometimes that, that stage and recognition and stuff. And I've given you your platform to thank your crew and stuff like that. And we've got to know so much about you. I'm just appreciative. So a little something that'll sit in the back of my videos for you until you get
Yeah,
over here.
nice. That's good,
Sam,
man.
thank you, bro. Like honestly and genuinely from my heart, this means a lot. You didn't have to. I'm just a small guy starting out in this, but I really, really, really do appreciate all of us visual imaging people and what we bring to the table. And I couldn't get the ball rolling with interviewing other imagers until I spoke to you. I want to thank you, like I said, that inspiration that you give me. So like when me and P, when we talk about our projects, even though we're procrastinating, we want something, we want to push the envelope from where we've been. And I think that's a lot of that credit goes to you for that. So thank you.
Thank you, man.
I wish you the best, and
Yeah,
I think I'll be speaking to you soon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure, and keep doing what you do because it's great having people talk about what we do. It's having that
Yeah.
insight into it. It's like the amount of reactors that I love that are really going into like the music and the passion of that. But you know, the visuals is a whole other aspect of it that really add to an experience, and it's something that I love and I really enjoy seeing that side of the reactions and really seeing like people picking up on it. And it's really nice. Thank you.
Hey, you make it easy for us, at least for me. And I'm sure if another videographer saw it, he would go, yeah, actually, it should be talked about on what they do. So, like I said, a million thank yous for this opportunity, for your time. And I can't wait to after the release of Money Game 3 to reconnect and hear all those juicy inside secrets that you let us have. All right.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
All right, man. I'm gonna sign off. You guys, can you believe that? Like, we did it. He, let's see. picked up a photography at 8. So he's been imaging and compositing since 8, bro. Um the the money game, taping the lights with just a little bit of tape to just create smaller of a shield so the light shoots down instead of spreading out over everything. Like, gold. We got it, guys. We got it. I got to thank you again. Without you guys connecting these dots, we wouldn't have had a chance to be able to do something like this, right? And then tell me how excited you guys are for Square Sun Studios to blossom and bloom, because we get more stuff like we saw just the other day through the Knox Hill, the pot and the kettle that was produced by his crew, right? And then the Money Game 3. Oh my gosh, a few weeks away. We have to do that. Oh, we have to be here for that reaction together, folks. Okay? Once again, shout out to Sam. Man, I really appreciate you for giving me your time, and I can't wait for us to connect again and discuss some things. And if you're new to the channel and you've made it this way and you haven't hit the subscribe button, shame on you. Shame on you. This is the type of stuff we're going to bring to you. So you might as well hit the subscribe button and hang out for a little while. Like, check the comments down here. Super positive group. We're all about that positivity, right? And a rising tide lifts all boats. So I'll say it again. Thank you, Sam. Thank you to you guys. And I'll catch you on the next interview. Peace.